Welcome to Swell Session Episode 8, presented by the Well Studio.
Hi, Jen. How are you
host,
doing?
Jen
I'm doing good.
This is
so
the
glad you're
fifth
joining
podcast
us today.
of a special series
I'm
for
excited
writers
to
from
be
the
here.
River.
Yeah, well, we
Today's
had
candid conversation is with
Alisa
Alisa
write the
Keeton.
prayer on
Alisa is
wellness.
the founder of
And
Revelation
when
Wellness.
she
A
tells
prayer
you a
on
little
wellness
bit about
was so
her,
important for us to
you'll
include,
understand
and
why.
I love
So why
how
don't you
Alisa compares
tell us
the
a little
weight
bit
of
about
so many
you, where you're
responsibilities
from,
that us dreamers and doers
what
carry
you do.
to that of
Yeah.
the backpack and how the Lord
Well,
so desperately desires to take it
had
from us.
a history
Alisa
of
has such a
just
gift
always
to encourage
loving
those
activity.
struggling
I
with this
pretty much
area of
was
wellness without the
born
feeling of
into a
judgment.
tomboy kind of lifestyle. So sports and activity just was something I enjoyed young, and it was an outlet for me. For sure. But it was in the 80s that I took my first aerobic class. And I say that word because that'll show you how old I am, the word aerobics. And I loved it. And something happened for me there at that time. I just remember the experience of moving to music and using my physical strength and energy and to be in community with other people. I loved it. And it came at a time in my life for sure where my own personal story as a 14-year-old young girl was, you're just trying to figure out who you are and all those things about your identity. And it resonated with me. I loved it. And so my focus kind of shifted from sports in a sense to this growing trend at that time in the 80s that was group fitness or group aerobics. And I loved it and just began to pursue it more and more. I wouldn't say I loved God at all the way I loved my life, myself, my body, my own things. And it wasn't really till later in life as I grew in my passion and love for fitness, became a personal trainer, was successful in managing programs in different facilities, that I really needed more. I felt like it was empty. I started to see the emptiness of it and did fitness shows and things like that where I would compete. And I just really, Jen, I got sick of myself, really. I just got sick of myself. And my love for fitness never went away, but my motive started to change. And my motive, trying to understand my own brokenness? Because on the surface, I had it all together. On the surface, I had the body, I had the education, I had the marriage, I had growing success. It looked all really good on paper, but very shallow. And that was when Christ really rescued me for sure. And through that God, relationship with him and understanding what it meant to be a Christ follower, not just a Christian, but a Christ follower, shifted my full lens, the way I saw fitness, the way I saw helping my clients. I really started to see my clients and my participants in classes as people that were looking for more than just the body. They were looking for more. They were hoping it would satisfy, and it never really did. And then that was where I was just like, all right, God, what are you trying to show me? What is this? And so I just began a journey with him of letting him show me, teach me, and also give me a thick skin for it, because it really, honestly, Jen, it wasn't something I wanted to do. I resisted the thought of faith and fitness for a long time because in my mind, it felt kind of cheesy, kind of just not relevant, not cool. What are people going to think? And all that. And God just has been patient with me to show me how connected it all is, heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the love for him, it evokes a response. When you really love and grow in love for him, we don't just hear the word, we become a doer of the word. There's a physical response to the gospel. And that's really where he was kind of just leading me on to start this ministry and more than just get people fit or well in their bodies, it was really about their fitness and the wellness of their souls. So that brings us kind of where we are today.
Yeah, and I love that in your story specifically, sometimes we hear stories of a calling or a purpose that takes us away from a relationship with God, which is kind of the early part of your story, that it was becoming your focus and your passion and your motivation, and it was distracting you from a relationship with God. And I love that God said, you know what? I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm going to become a part of it for you.
Amen. Yeah.
And that's just a sweet picture. He chooses, for all of us, our lives are different, but in your particular story, I love that he took your calling and purpose and became a part of it. And that's just really sweet to see. So tell about Revelation Wellness. Like what is that? I have had the privilege of being in one of your classes, and I'm ashamed to say I'm not an active person. I do not work out regularly. I will be the first to say that. I feel sorry for my husband. I married a personal trainer. So So, but I have taken one of your classes, and I will say by the end of it, I could not stop talking to my husband about it when I got home. And it just was such a unique moment of, and I know what you said, I can see from the outside the inkling of, oh, this fitness and faith thing could be so cheesy. But I don't know, there is something about like jamming out to some music and then transitioning to some yoga with some worship, and there's just something and you lead so well. Thank you. You are a teacher, preacher woman.
I am a preacher. I know it. I do. Yeah. And I think that's part of like I said, the response when I start to talk about the gospel. Like I can't help but be very physical, and then my mouth. It's the culmination of my totality of being, I guess you'd say.
Which is so awesome to see God like not separate those things in your world and give you the gift of, no, I'm just going to create something new with her passion and calling and giftedness and be all over it. And I just think that that's just really cool to see.
Yeah.
This prayer for me was really important to put in this book when I was thinking about all the different prayers that I wanted included in this. This was really important to me because it's really my story. It's so much of what I wrestle with is my personal wellness and taking care of myself, and stress plays a big role in my life. And even this morning, I was tired this morning and thinking about why am I tired, and being tired, what is it costing me today? And when you start looking at what stress and exhaustion and anxiety starts costing you, and when it starts attaching itself to making me not want to engage with my neighbor in an opportunity that is just ministry filled because I'm just too tired or stressed, I'm like, those are the moments I'm like, no, there is a direct, and you know this already, this is why you do what you do, but it's those moments I'm like, there is a direct correlation between ministry and wellness.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm guilty of ignoring. And that's why this prayer was so important to me.
Love that. Well, I think a lot for us is that, the wellness part, or that we were created, we desire wholeness, peace, shalom. The word shalom, it means all things as it should be. Well, that we long for that. We're made for that. We're made to be whole. And then we have these passions and desires, and we live in a world that's broken and fallen, and it just chips away at us. It just does. There's no way. There's no minister out there. And again, we all have ministry, whether we actually preach the gospel or just do anything. It just eats away at us. And the self-care and the soul care that God is most interested in, there's just no way around it. you can try and think, okay, well, I'll eat better or I'll do these things. But I always find that God really in the end is saying, come to me, child. First, just come back to me, because that's really where wellness is found, in his presence. I'm whole. In his presence, I have peace. When I'm with him, when my mind is thinking his thoughts and hearing his voice and remembering the words that he's told me, then peace comes upon my soul. But the world we live in is just so not set up to usher us into the presence of God very easily. It's quite noisy and distracted, and there's just no way around that. The message of the gospel is about God. First of all, God is about God first and foremost, but he shines best through fit vessels. And the word fit, we use the word fit or fitness, and it doesn't mean like biceps and low body fat.
Right.
It means fit for the purpose. Like a cup is fit to hold water in it because it has no holes. But if it's not fit, it has holes. There's breakage, there's leakage, there's places that what I often use with my team is that we're bleeding out. We're leaking somewhere because we're not being met by God or not being healed in those places yet. And even then, it's God's mercy when he shows us, like, you woke up this morning, you're still tired. That's not a message of shame or a message of guilt or a message of fear. It's a message of, I love you, and I still want to give you peace. I want to give you more of myself because there we're more whole. Then we can go out and love our neighbors and do our work from a place of a work of faith and not a work of our flesh. There's really, I'm grateful you put this prayer in because there's no way around this. Like, and it's good, you still struggle with it. You try to figure it out for your own life. But whoever reads this book as a dreamer and a doer, that is beautiful, awesome. You're my sister. You are cut from my cloth because I am a dreamer and I am a doer. But if I don't have wellness that comes from just knowing who I am in God and the presence of him in my life, no matter what I do or don't do or produce or don't produce or what he does or doesn't do for me, those are all just circumstantial things. I am well when I remember who I am, whose I am, and he then tells me what I'm living for. You just can't get around it. It'll catch up with you.
No, and I love that the emphasis on like we can't get around it, and I am guilty personally of seeing like going so many days not like trying to get around it. I try, and when I see my lack of wellness manifest itself in, like I mentioned, exhaustion or stress or aches and pains. Just living with chronic back, pain, that kind of stuff that I know I feel better when I go spend some time on the treadmill, even something as small as that. But when I start seeing it manifest itself in these things, stress, anxiety, pain, and I see those things start affecting my relationships, my ministry, my work, what God's clearly called me to do, it's just this alarm that goes off that it's all connected. And back to what you said, we can't get around it. It all affects everything, mind, body, spirit. It's all, we are one. We were created as that, all three in one. And I am preaching to myself. I love that you, in one of the paragraphs, you talk about the world and all expectations, the shouldings, like you should do this, you should do this, you should be this, you should look like this. But it does feel like this backpack of burdens. That's what you call it, this backpack of burdens. And what you're talking about and what you encourage so many people to do in this wellness mentality, like you said, it's not just biceps and this and that. It's being at the throne of God, sitting in his presence.
Yes.
But then physically taking care of our bodies
is
laying down the backpack.
Amen. Well, there's like I said, when you're in his presence, it evokes a response. It just, whether it was David who would dance in his underwear or Martha who would sit or Mary who would sit at his feet, like there's a response that then we go, oh, he's here. This is what I want to do in that presence. And it becomes, I just am really aware of how the fitness, even the wellness culture, puts such value on the hustle, on the doing, on the really controlling it and really, making it happen, where it's already set up for disaster if that's the motive. That's a motive that will not get you far. It will start something, but it cannot finish anything. So we have to come back to his presence, who he says we are, like the foundational infant stuff that we need to know. And then from that, it will produce in us a desire to want to do one. And I always say this too, it's always going to just be that one thing, not a million things that you need to do, not like your whole list of times you failed at doing this or that, but what's one thing that I can do today, or what's the one thing I can shift in my schedule to just create more space for him and me and wholeness, wellness, and peace in my life. That's his voice. It's a gentle place. It's a loving place. And then we can start to build out from there. I think there's just a lot of undoing that has to be done with our minds when it comes to wellness, fitness, all these things. There's just too many shouldings that have happened in our life.
Yeah, because I love that you talk about the first place to go is at the foot of the cross, and then the way we approach fitness and wellness can be seen through eyes in a healthy set of eyes that are approached, because you're right, the world, the fitness world and the wellness world, it is, I'm the type, and there are two sides of it. The ones that go to extreme and over hustle, over produce, overwork. And then there's someone like me who looks ahead at the wellness, fitness, and is like, I'll fail at the first.
You're right. So why try?
Why try? And but those two extremes are coming from a place that didn't start where you encourage people to start, which is the right image of whose we are.
Yes.
And that's such a good reminder, again, that they're not separate from each other. Faith and wellness are not separate.
No, not at all. Not at all. Our faith is our most, like, we're breathed the gift of faith and hope and love and all those places, that inside place. But it will, as it's cared for and that seed of love is tended to and fed and watered, it will bloom and grow, and we tend the garden. There's work to the good seed that's planted in us, but we can never become about the work, about the productivity of something over the presence of God in our life. I mean, I think sometimes we have to go, it is a miracle. We have salvation. Like, let's just take a moment to ponder that miracle that he came for us and has given us a new nature, a new name for many of us, a new desire, a new focus. Like, that's a gift that alone should get us to kind of respond in some type of an adoration, an applause, a dance, which just makes all this stuff we make it about, whether it's our blogging or our analytics or our money, whatever, that stuff just gets really small, because he's so big and beautiful and has done such great things for us. If he never did one more thing for us, wouldn't it be enough? You just go, it's enough, and it's well with my soul.
Oh, I love that. Like, that's so awesome to remember, because as dreamers and doers, we are driven by more. Like, we are always striving for more.
Yeah.
And I love that truth, that if that's it, that's it.
Girl, I say that too, because like I said, I'm surrounded in a culture as we train up instructors to go out. They're dreamers and they're doers. They're type A's. They like their lists. They like to get things done, and I love that. And that's holy. Like, that's a gift from God to want to be a worker, to want to produce. But if it gets in front of our ability to be His, to remember whose we are and who we are, we're set up for a breakdown and continued patterns of brokenness in our life. And He's merciful to give us another day and another try and a fresh start.
Yeah. And I love the last line in your prayer. It says, help me to care like you care for my whole life, my heart, my mind, my soul, and my body, as an act of undying worship unto you, my King. And I love that you say, help me to care like you care.
Yeah, right. We don't know. That's why Revelation, our ministry, God gave me the name Revelation Wellness and Revelation Fitness as the actual class, because we don't know what true fitness, true wellness, we don't know ourselves until God reveals His truth to us, reveals Himself to us. Revelation is the things we don't have. There's no reason I should know what I know, other than God has revealed Himself to me because of His grace and undying love for me. And I'm only as well as I am, as He has revealed Himself to us. I've been open to letting Him come in and tell me who I am and whose I am.
So with Revelation Wellness, talk a little bit about that your process with your, just as we wrap up, I would love for our listeners to just, if they don't already know what you do through Revelation Wellness, to talk about not only the classes you teach and the actual fitness part, but how you've trained up these amazing trainers to carry out what you're doing.
Yeah, the fitness class that I started was just kind of the expression of, okay, God, this is totally how you, like you said, you took my class. That was just me being me. I'm like, all right, let's just do it. I'm going to throw off all my cares. And I saw how it was changing people's lives, how it just had it was set apart for God's glory. So whatever set apart he's going to do what he's going to do with it. And part of my desire was to not only train up the student heart, like the person that, wants to lose weight or has made it about their weight or doesn't feel beautiful, all those body image things. So we have stuff at Revelation Wellness. We create, whether we're blogging or writing programs. We have an online program called Way Less to Feed More, which really does get at the root of why someone struggles or has felt burdened by whether it's food or their weight or their beauty or their money or whatever it is that holds them down. And that's been just to train the student heart. But I also asked the Lord, I'm like, Lord, I want to see people out there going out and doing the same thing because I felt like I'm not the only one who feels crazy like this faith and fitness thing. I would love to train up other instructors. And really, our instructor training program, it's really not about the fitness. We disciple people to go out and share the love of God, and they just happen to be disguised as fitness instructors or fitness professionals. They're really just ordinary people who happen to have a passion for fitness, but they don't want to become the thing. They want God to be magnified most. And so our instructor training program just takes people and walks them through a 9-week process, an online process, and then they have a 5-day retreat, which honestly is you should come sometime, Jen. I'm going to open that invitation to you. Anytime you want to come to one of our retreats, you just let me know, because it's a 5-day, you would think like, oh God, it's all going to be fitness, all going to be all this movement. It's soul transformational work. Like we Bible study, we worship, there's small group time. It really is a time of just cleaning out whatever is in us that just intersects our identity and our purpose. And then they happen to do some intensive fitness stuff too, to learn to go and take back to their communities. So my desire, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. I feel like the season now for fitness, this is the harvest season of something new that God wants to do. But I don't want it to be the Alisa Keeton show. I want to see people go out and make the show all about Jesus all the time, because he's pretty awesome.
Well, I think that's one of my favorite things about what you just said is you're like, I don't want to keep this for myself. This is something God gifted me with, the inspiration to create this, and then to go train up others to go do it.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing to see, that you are a vessel to train up and send out, and in a way that's so unique. And
for sure.
And it does sound like something my soul needs, that retreat.
I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. I mean it. It's a standing offer. Just let me know. We do it twice a year, and if you just came and sat and take it all in, I think I love what you're doing at the Well Studio. When I met with you at Declare and your vision and just some honest conversation we had, I'm like, oh, this girl has it, Lord. This girl's onto something. But we're all still learning how to grow into our skin, grow into our soul. So
we are. And it's just this whole idea is, as we dream and do and go towards what we feel like God's called us to, it is choosing grace. And I know that's so much about what you teach, especially within an industry that is so measured by things.
Amen. Measured by how much
weight
you can
and weight and speed and all those things. So, well, thank you so much for just pouring your words onto this page from a place of just passion for this generation of dreamers and doers, and this area of wellness, and then just for being a part of our community and our book club this much. Thank you.
I'm honored, Jen. Thank you. I've just blessed all those people that are reading it, just good things. I'm just so excited to have a small part in something so kingdom-centered. It's awesome.
Well, thank you, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you. All right, Jen.
Thank you for listening to our Swell session. For more information about our devotional and the Well Studio, you can visit thewellstudio.co. Until next time, have a swell day.